we talked about community. And here we see the village that I lived at. It looks a little bit different than Boulder, doesn't it? Little huts. But the community is important whether we're here at LOHAS, we're at home, or wherever it is that we are. And this was the village that I personally lived at during my apprenticeship. And here, can you see these? Okay, great. So here we see Don Jose when he was 103. So that's pretty good. He was so vibrant and so strong till he was about 108 years old. That's pretty good. He could walk miles and miles through the Sierra Madre. I could barely keep up with him even when he was over 100. He was, and you see he's smiling, filled with joy and laughter. And this is an important part of any tradition or culture, including our own, right? Remember that book came out now, it's a long time, maybe over 30 years ago, by Dr. Norman Cousins, Laughter is Medicine. And he did a clinical study on the healing power of laughter. And this captures that. And the Huichols are always laughing and teasing each other. And you can't get mad when they tease you, or they like that even better. So, good. My Huichol grandmother, Don Jose's wife, they were together many, many years. And they used to say they only had one fight and it lasted the whole time of their relationship. And that's also part of life. Okay. She lived to be 101. And here's a river that's there in the Sierra Madre. And so you go to that water to heal yourself with the sacred sound. You can't quite see it, or can you? There's a cornfield here. And so that's one way they keep their bodies strong, working in the cornfield or gathering firewood. This was a big part of my apprenticeship. And when I came up here, I didn't have that anymore as much. A little bit, but not much. And so then I had to begin also practicing many of these tools that Mark has talked about. You know, initiating a hike. The Huichols don't have to initiate because they would walk an hour or two to get the water to the springs and carry that water back to the village, or walk to the cornfield. But here we have to initiate a hike or whatever it is that we do, go to the gym or a run. But these are all tools that can powerfully transform us. And corn, remember, comes from Mexico. It's the only food that they don't really know the exact origin of scientifically. But the Huichols say it was originally a little corn, which came up out of the water, out of the ocean. And then the cosmology says that from that corn, because it was wet, then sprouts came out. One sprout here, one sprout up there, then legs. And that corn became the deer, the magical deer, who they say is also in our hearts as part of our intuition. This is also an example. That was a Huichol hut, you might say. Here we're goofing around during a ceremony. You know, Don Jose would sing these incredibly powerful chants. And then, which are some, we have a video, Vararika, I don't have any here, but we have some of Don Jose's sacred songs on that video. And we're goofing around. We had these same stories always till the end of his life. And one story I'd like to share, a quick one, that we would share during these breaks in the ceremony, because sometimes we would have all-night ceremonies or all-day ceremonies. One was, I was bringing Don Jose to Europe. When I finished my apprenticeship, he wanted to announce that he was leaving me in his place to help carry on the tradition. And we were going to Europe, to Austria for a big conference. And we were waiting in a hotel in Guadalajara to get his passport. And what do you do with a 100-year-old man in a in a hotel. He didn't like television, movies were out. He only liked to eat beans and tortillas and hot sauce, or tortillas and beans, beans and tortillas, tortillas and beans, which is a good food, one of the best foods. And so I couldn't figure out, we had to wait a day. So I took him for a massage. They offered a massage. He didn't know what a massage was. Masaje, he called it. So we went down and we got in the room, and the lady said, all right, take your clothes off and jump up on the table. And he looked at me, because the Huichols are never naked in front of, other members of the tribe, much less a stranger. And they're very modest, you might say. So he looks at me and he says in Huichol, you're in trouble. He goes, this is all your fault. And so I said, just take off your shirt then. And they wore these baggy pants, white, like yoga pants. So he got there and she began giving him a foot massage, and he never had that, and he loved it. You could see, he's like, this is pretty good. And then she kept, pulling up his pant leg, and she'd get up to about, not quite the knee. And he'd be like, And then he started telling me in Huichol, oh, you're in big trouble, grandson. This was your fault. You told me masaje, and what is this masaje all about? And so this is what we would joke about during ceremonies. And these same stories, the Huichols would tell as a way to open the heart. We would share these stories. So that was one story. And I would do it. He would chant, maybe however long he'd stop and take a break. And I'd reach over. He was 100 years old. Sometimes he was slow to react. And I'd start pulling up his pant leg ever so slowly. He'd go, psh, he'd smack my hand away. And it just shows you how joy and laughter and teasing each other is a part of healing. So anyway, that's what this is happening here. Here's another young shaman. And I knew I was getting older, and I was calling a 45-year-old young. They use sacred face paint. They say the cheeks of a human being are like the wings of an eagle. So when you paint your face, you're connecting, you're becoming like the eagle. And your spirit can fly to the sky. And throughout history, right, human beings have felt an affinity with an eagle. And that's why you see his face painted. The Huichols are known as the healing people. And so there's a healing going on. This is a pilgrimage. To walk to this place takes, and you notice how different it is a 2-week pilgrimage. You walk, and it's pretty amazing. And this is, they say, the mountain where the sun was born. So it's not just an abstract story, you might say, but it's part of their cosmology that they live by. So here we are at that mountain. And then they would leave offerings. One of the offerings is chocolate, which is down below here. And chocolate is sacred. It comes from Mexico and Guatemala. That's where they started growing chocolate to use it for a drink or to leave it as an offering of thanks. And we have in the gift shop, Ted, am I allowed to mention that? Good. In the gift shop, we have a chocolate called shaman chocolates, which we've given you as a gift. You're welcome to go there and try it. It's 100% organic and fair trade. And the model of our company fits exactly to this model of LOHAS and sustainability and so forth. And here they're talking to the fire, trying to bring the light into their hearts. Again, the sacred drum. The drum they call tepu, because we say that's the sound that the drum is speaking, connecting the heart of humans to all of creation. and the children. These are traditional Huichol costumes, by the way. The shaman in trance, in that nerika. Cooking on the outdoor fire, making tortillas with the sacred corn. There's chili there. Chili also comes from Mexico. So many of foods that we eat originated in Mexico with the traditional peoples there. Tomatoes. Can you imagine no tomato sauce on pizza or spaghetti? But until they met the indigenous people in the 1500s, that's the way it was. Something to think about. Avocados. All of these things come from indigenous cultures in Mexico. Beans as well. Next. It's another Don Juan, one of Don Jose's sons. Next. Next. Also, they teach the children to be happy for life, be thankful for life. That's also what we've been talking about here at LOHAS, to find that joy with ourselves, with our community here, which this is our community for these days together. And this was Don Jose just about 2 weeks before he died. So he still was vibrant until the very end. We talked about connecting with this power of nature, with the power of the sunrise, or the power of the sunset. No matter where we are, no matter where we live, there's a sunrise and a sunset. It changes. I'm going to Alaska in a few days to teach a retreat there, and it's light most of the time now in the summer. But there's still a time of light and dark. Here are some of the dreams. They make these beautiful yarn paintings, which they say help to bring their visions or dreams alive. So I'd like to just have you, just for one moment, to meditate on this image. And imagine these images coming into your heart or your soul. And then I'll turn the program again back over to Mark. We call this yarn painting meditation. And if I had the paintings themselves aren't this big, or normally not. So that's why we're using an image. So just imagine these images, the colors, which are the same as a sunrise or a sunset. Imagine these colors coming into your heart, into your soul. We say colors help make our spirit or our soul bright. And they've also done studies on this as well. Notice the deer. Notice the eagle. We say throughout time, humans have been connected to the eagle and the deer to make us more whole, to make us more complete people. Good. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. And I just wanted to point out, you see, this is another kind of traditional drum, which stands for what we've been talking about here at LOHAS this afternoon. This stands for the individual person, one leg. The next stands for the community. Here we are, the LOHAS community. And this stands for Mother Earth. the part of our community that connects to everyone and everything in some way to make us more whole and more complete people, whether we are young or old. So thank you, and I'd like to turn the program again over to Mark.